Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant. Tonight we are joined by Coach Reynolds of the Samford men's tennis team. We got Wimbledon going on, tennis coming off of a SoCon title. Figured we'd give a little love to the tennis program. So, Coach Reynolds, thanks for joining. How you doing, man?
Good. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on. Honestly, we just sort of, at least for me, just finished up the first half of our summer here, and second half is really just a lot of recruiting. But actually, it's a little bit, at least for some of these coaches, a lot of us. I mean, we can finally have a little bit of time to breathe and do a few other things, which is nice. So we just finished up a couple weeks of camps. We're running a tournament here, a couple other things, but the recruiting season, it's honestly, it's fun for a part of it, as
And
long
does
as you
that
end up
start
getting some of the
right?
players.
I mean, right when the season ends till when? I mean, do you go into the fall or?
Well, we obviously, I mean, you guys know, I mean, recruiting season, it's year round, right? So, I mean, but what I will say is a lot of the heavy tournaments that we're going to as coaches start probably late May, go through the first half of August, and then it sort of slows down. Obviously, when September comes around, a lot of the programs in the country, that's when we're starting up our fall non-traditional season, as people would call it. Tennis is a little different, right? So we don't just practice; we actually play events. We've got our individual championship in the fall now. It used to be in the spring; it's in the fall. They moved that a couple years ago. This will be year two in the fall this upcoming year. And we'll travel, play each player. We try to get 4 or 5 different tournaments in. So we host a couple here. We host a big one over at the Country Club of Birmingham.
Well, it's safe to say your recruiting efforts have paid off. This was our first SoCon title since
2013.
2013.
Yep.
Yeah.
2013. Yep.
Huge accomplishment. And especially, we'll get into this a little bit later, but it's always good to be building a winner in a time of uncertainty in college sports. But let's talk about this past season. I mean, did you know this team uh, was special?
Uh, it was pretty much one of the first things we talked about at the beginning of the year with this group. I mean, I understood that they knew what they were capable of. We had tons of talent on this team.
Yeah.
We had a lot of returners. Really the last 2 years before this year, I really felt we were the best team then. We had some really freak injuries. We had an appendix that had to be removed in the middle of our
Oh,
conference season.
wow.
We had another
It's
end
tough.
of the year season-ending injury. We had just moved into first place. Chattanooga won the regular season that year. We had just beat Chattanooga 6-1 pretty convincingly. We'd actually even, we put in someone else at 6 after we'd already completed because we were playing indoors that day, and there's some funny rules. So if you hadn't got on yet, we can still change the lineup. So that was a cool experience for us that year. Then the next morning, Easter Sunday morning, we had one of our players that had a little freak accident, had to go to the hospital.
My
Like
goodness.
we got to do surgery right away, and so we
Yeah.
lost him. He was a big part of our team. Played towards the top. We had a young team that year, so that
Goodness
stung a
gracious.
little bit because we were in first place. We just had Mercer left, and they were good. They finished tied for second with us, but that was a tough year. Last year was similar. I thought we were as good as anybody else, but obviously we just had a few injuries down the road. I just Nothing you can do for an appendix. I can't control that. Our trainers can't control that.
No.
But then to get forward to this year, you know, I I think finishing second sometimes it's worse than finishing like fifth or
Sucks.
sixth.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
worse. I mean, it stinks because you're right there. You're so close. Like these kids, you feel like they put in the time, they put in the effort. Obviously, someone's going to lose in the finals, right? So,
Right.
we lost to ETSU in the finals. They've sort of been dominant in our conference for a long time, regular season and in the tournament. I think they won the conference tournament. I couldn't even tell you how many years in a row. I mean, it's been just that many. It's been maybe 6, 7, 8 years in a row that they had won it.
What? Why ETSU? Because in golf they're similarly dominant. Like I don't.
Yeah, so one of the things that ETSU's got, they've got a rich tradition in tennis.
Okay.
They have been an extremely competitive tennis program for ages, for decades. They've had quite a few interesting things happen within their program in the last 10, 12 years. On the coaching side, they've got a great coach now who he's actually doing both teams, men and women, but he's a great guy. He's done a great job with them. Um, but they've really have I think they've got some form of a scholarship for South Americans. And if you're from South America, you get this
That
big
makes sense.
scholarship right away. And so
Yeah.
that helps pull a lot of the financial stuff off of players when they're looking to go to college. And then on top of your scholarships that you have, you're able to really get kids to nothing, which in tennis that's not the normal. Getting kids to full scholarships, that's just not a normal thing that you see in college tennis. So
Yeah, because
you
we were
see it
talking
maybe with a
before,
guy or two, but you don't see it with everybody.
leading up to the House settlement, there were 4.5 scholarships in men's tennis, which I did not know. I think everybody knows 11.7 in baseball, but
Yeah.
4.5 in tennis. I mean, how many guys on the team do we usually have?
I'm probably not the right one to ask because I always host bigger rosters, bigger teams. I like to sort of what we have is, I like to have a bench mob. I like to have guys that are cheering and supporting their
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
Some coaches aren't big believers in having more than 8. The
Okay.
roster limit now set by the NCAA for tennis is 10. But you've seen conferences like the SEC and maybe a few others that have also decided to go lower than 10, and they're going to be at 9. Um,
Interesting.
it is interesting because you need a minimum of 6 players to compete.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you've got an ACL injury, you got a kid that gets sick, you got something else happen. Now maybe you're down to, if you've only got 8 guys, maybe you're down to 5, and
Yeah,
you're
that's
having
not
to
good.
like give up points. So it's really kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah,
Um,
so are
you know,
you just automatically giving up the doubles match there? Because it's
Well, you wouldn't give up the doubles match. You would give up 3 doubles. So you would have to win courts 1 and courts 2 to get the doubles point. So the doubles, there's
gotcha.
3 matches
Yeah.
in doubles, and so you've got to win 2 of those 3 at least to get the doubles point. If you win 3, it doesn't matter. It's still just worth 1. So you could still do it, but you have no room for error. So
All right.
and then obviously you lose at 6 singles, so you're starting down the match, 1-0 anyways. But
All right.
Let's go back to this past season. So, obviously, Sandeep's our number one. I mean, did he really impress you this season, or was there somebody in particular that kind of was the linchpin of the championship effort? Because obviously, you need more than just one guy playing well.
yeah, well, Sandeep, he's been a special player for us really since he got here.
Yeah.
He uh, he transferred to us from South Florida. Didn't play at all there. Didn't play in the fall. Didn't play in the spring. So that's why we've got him for one more year. And started out his first year, played 3, did exceptionally well. I think struggled a little bit maybe early on the first month or 2. And then last year played 2, this year played 1. He's been exceptional. He's dealt with some stuff as well. The last 2 summers, he's had back surgery both
Dang.
summers, and so he's had to
Dang.
recover from that. So it's been a lot for him. He's focused a lot on just, taking care of his body and doing things the right way. We've had to really manage him at a level that I'm comfortable with and he's comfortable with. There's some guys sometimes that you just never know how hard they can push themselves, and some that, maybe over time just, could push harder, but maybe they just don't want to. We built a lot of trust with him. So he's been able to do a good job of sort of letting us know when things are getting tough. But, he just has such a live game. He's got such a loose arm. He's an electric player, great energy. He is probably one of the most fun guys to watch if you're just coming out to a tennis match. He's just got a really clean game. He's not going to hit aces all over the court. He's got a massive forehand. He's quick. He's fast. Uh, and over time, that's just allowed him to pull through a lot of matches, and he's smart. He's really smart. He never from the mental side of things. He never disappears. And in tennis, if you disappear for a minute or 2 in tennis, I mean that can be the difference. So
Yeah, and you mentioned already like the deep team you have. Just going over the stats. I mean, you had 2 guys, 200-classmen, both go 6-1 in conference and singles. Just talk about those 2 guys with the Sebastian and Hayden, especially a freshman coming in and playing that well his first year.
yeah, so Seb started with us last year. He actually just finished his sophomore year. He started in January the year before. Came in first year. He was a little underrated. He has become an incredible player for us. We've built a lot of trust with him. He's just a guy that does things right. He puts in all the extra time. But he's been phenomenal for us down at 5 this past season. He did incredible. The entire year in conference, out of conference, had a ton of big wins. I think for Hayden, that was pretty special. To be able to break into our top 3 of our lineup at a level that we have had this past year, that's not something you see freshmen do a lot of. And he was player of the year, or he was freshman of the year in our conference. So huge shout out to him and what he was able to do. I mean, this kid is talented. He's got
Where's he from?
Grew up in Malaysia, but they moved to the States, and he's done his entire high school down in Tampa, Florida. So he's been down there just outside of Tampa for a lot of his high school time. But grew up in Malaysia. He's actually back in Malaysia right now, I think, seeing family and friends. But he was a pretty special player. And then we really had another young guy on the team, Vittorio, that played doubles for us. That he's had an incredible summer. He's probably played more matches than maybe anybody in college tennis, I feel like, this summer. I feel like every time I look online, I'm like, you played another one and another one and another one.
Putting in the work
like that, yeah.
And he's doing well too. He's had a lot of good wins. So, we really just have had so much depth. That's been really the strength of our team. Darcy Nichols, he came in as a walk-on to this team as a freshman, and he's played his entire career. He's been incredible. Obviously he's well earned his scholarship.
Yeah.
Here at Samford. But I mean, it was, sometimes the ranking scales, when you're looking at stuff, obviously with tennis, a lot of these kids are international, right? So it's tough to just shoot over to Australia. I can't just say, hey guys, listen, I got to shoot over to Sydney, or where Darcy's from. It's called Warragul. It's like a little small like country town.
Hey, Martin, can I book a flight to Australia real quick? I was
hey,
like, what?
I'm just going to go over. I'm going to watch him play. I'm going to turn right back around and come back. I'll be back in 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it in 3 days. Even if I literally just went straight there, watched him play for 2 hours and turned back around. So obviously, that side of thing is tough. So I'll typically try to take an international trip every year.
Okay, so you get out of the country.
I do typically. I haven't done it this past year. I've tried to put some focus in some different areas, tried to put a lot of a focus on some American kids. I could go on and on about, why we don't get these kids, but a lot of them, they love to go. The kids in the States, they just grow up, honestly just knowing about, Georgia and Tennessee and all these big schools. And, they just sort of believe that's the only method. That's the only way to go. And then, once we typically get them to campus, they're like, wow, this place is awesome.
It's a pretty easy sell when you get on campus, for sure.
It really is. I mean, you sort of see what you're surrounded by here at Samford. You see the facilities, you touch base on the academics, you see this unreal new rec center we've got, you see the community that's around us. I mean, just from a parental side of things, you're like, man, our kid's in an awesome area, safe location. We love this.
Mom is happy.
Exactly.
Mom is happy.
You get mom, you're good to go.
Yeah. So as opposed to a lot of campuses, you get a couple blocks off campus and you just don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. For sure.
Are these international kids? Are they coming on campus before they commit? How does that work typically?
Sandeep came on campus. He transferred from South Florida though, so he was in Florida when he came. He came up that summer. Darcy did not. Obviously, that's a tough trip from Warragul, Australia. He didn't make that trip.
Little FaceTime tour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's funny. Hayden actually didn't come on one either. I went down to Florida to see him, met with him in Florida at his home.
Have you considered it an alternate career in sales? Selling a lot of you're selling land basically without seeing it. It's pretty
fundraising.
Nice.
All that.
Unfortunately, this is a lot of tennis in general because I mean, so many of these kids, unless you're willing to pay for that, expensive trip over the Pacific or the Atlantic these days. I mean, just within the budgets, it doesn't put a lot of room in for a bunch of those trips. So you got to sort of pick out where you want to put your money. Like for us, we might say if we really have a guy that we're excited about and he's international, we'll basically say, all right, listen, we'll chip in for $500 of your trip. So if you want to come, we'll chip in $500 and you can cover the rest.
Yeah,
We'll
you can
obviously
go to the other
we'll
$3,000.
we'll cover
Yeah.
everything once you get to campus.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Just gotta
tough to
get you
say, hey,
there.
let's we need to book a flight to have you here in a week. I just
Yeah.
it's a lot of expense not knowing whether you're going to get a kid or not.
Yeah,
So
I thought like the way we obviously know that most of our tennis players are international, and so I thought recruiting would kind of happen where they come to the States for a camp, and then all your colleges like descend on those big camps or whatnot down in Bradenton or wherever. But I
yeah.
guess it's way more organic than that.
Oh, I mean, there's not really a whole lot of like high school tennis
That's
isn't
kind
really
of
a thing.
nice
Like
though.
college coaches, we don't go to high school tennis. I mean, I maybe been to one high school match in like my entire career.
That is
Um,
crazy.
we go to tournaments. Like there's a big tournament going on right now. It's the clay court championships for collegiate or for all players in the States, whether you're 12s, 14s, 16, 18s. It's down in Delray right now. So I was going down there, couldn't make it. But then the hard courts is up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's in early August, which is a big event. Typically, the winner of that tournament has always gotten a wild card into the main draw of the U.S. Open. So this is where you're going to go. This is where you're going to go see all of your best players in the country, all your best juniors. The clay court championship has some sort of similar setup, not with the U.S. Open, but with maybe there is a I think maybe a men's 250 down at that facility down in Delray. So I think they might get a wild card into either the qualifying or the main draw of that one. I can't remember. They might have changed it, but I can't. I'm not sure what they receive now.
Just curious, is Western Michigan's tennis program good, or
That's
do they just have all this
that's
talent descend on their school, on their town, and just?
They've actually been pretty good. I mean, they've had some
Okay.
really good years. Some years they're not great. Some years they're really good.
Okay.
They
Because I just think that would be unfortunate.
Well, I mean, that's where this big tournament is held, and that's where
Right.
one of the sites. So they've got they've got a massive amount. They probably have more tennis courts on their campus than almost any school in the country. I think they've got like, trying to count it out in my head right now. I think they've got maybe like 25 courts, 20 courts, 25 courts. That's excessive because you play on six. But it's been one of the staple points for that tournament. People around the country. I mean, they say, "Oh, you going to Kalamazoo? Are you going?" It's really the USDA national hard court championships, but everybody refers to it as Kalamazoo. So that's just the name. That's what people have been calling it for ages. But it's a cool tournament. There's a lot of history there. Every college coach in the country is going to be at that event. So
that's cool.
How many kids are playing in that tournament? I'm sure it's age range based, but
well, I think each draw is 256. But I think there's about maybe 64 buys, I think.
Okay.
So I think there's 60. I think there's 64 seeds. So I think there's maybe about 100 and whatever 256 minus 64 is. So I guess 192. I guess maybe does that sound right? But
it's close enough.
Yeah,
sure.
close enough. That's right.
Samford degree. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. That's what they gave me.
Yeah. One more thing about your guys this past year. You mentioned Darcy already, but JB, both those guys 7-0 in doubles and conference play. What just made them so dynamic? Those two.
Well, it's actually those guys. I mean, they have huge games. They're big serves. Darcy he's sort of you don't really know what, like, some players you can sort of read how they play, where they like to go, what sort of shots they like to hit. Darcy, he hits the ball all over the place and it goes in, which is not typically like that. When I watch him play in doubles, sometimes I'm like, Darcy, like, this doesn't make sense what you're doing, but sometimes it works, and that's sort of what it's worked for him. I'm sitting there scratching my head sometimes, being like, can I handle this? Certain shot selections, but he has just been for so long, that's just been part of his game, is just sort of keeping people on their toes and just keeping them off-footed and off balance. So he's done really well there. He's got a huge serve. He's 6'4", He got great volleys. So he really has a lot of the tools that you need to be competitive at a high level in college tennis. You're not going to get by at the top spots by just making balls. So you've got to be able to get the ball through the court. You've got to be able to hit it. You got to be able to make a lot of first serves. Those are, a lot of keys to being able to be successful in college tennis. And then JB, again, he's similar. He's probably put a lot of time into his doubles game over his 4 years. Darcy, when he first got here, did not start in doubles for us, which was kind of crazy to me. But he just had a lot to learn on the doubles court. JB, it was similar. He didn't really play a whole lot of doubles his first year, but he just improved, kept working. He was just an absolute workhorse for us. British guy. We had 3 British guys on the team this past year, and he was just an awesome piece of our program for a long time. People relied on him a lot. So he was pretty consistent over his time in the spring semester. Yeah.
And what goes into developing those pairings too, trying to find the right matches, like mixing and matching, just trial and error, then see what happens once you're in play, or what?
Yeah, the fall helps a lot, right? Like the fall helps because we'd go play all these tournaments, so we can put different teams together in different tournaments, and we can see who meshes and who doesn't mesh, and personalities. That stuff adds up. You never want to feel like you're trying to really match personalities together to make sure that everything fits perfectly, but that's a huge piece of it, right? If you're really good friends with one of your buddies and you guys are just super well connected, you just sort of know what each other's going to do, how each other's thinking. So it just, in certain situations, it can help you in some of those big moments. But we look obviously for guys that can play at the top spots, people that we feel generally are going to be able to make a lot of first serves, have a little bit of pop on the serve, and obviously you got to have decent volleys, because it's tough to win from the baseline in doubles, especially at the top. So if you're just somebody who likes to just hang out behind the baseline and hit forehands and backhands, you're going to get crushed. Typically, it's just not the way you win in doubles. So you got to be able to get to the net. JB and Darcy were incredible this past year. Sandeep and Max Giddens, who was our GA in the spring, they were incredible for us for 2 years. They hardly ever lost. Each year they were maybe 18-5 or something every year at one, which is tough to do. So, well, we've been fortunate. We've had some really good pairings the last 3 years, and it's put a lot of it's helped at 2 and 3 when you know that you've got a team that's at the top that has a good shot at winning almost every match. So it helps.
How does that lineup typically work? Are these guys playing against each other to determine the 1 through 6, or are you setting that up strategically depending on who you're playing against?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really do a whole lot of challenge matches. I'm not really a believer in that, because there's guys that can play incredible tennis in practice, and then it's different in a match. Every sport has guys that are just great practice players, right? So I have always found that the fall tells us a lot about where these guys are with their level and what they're capable of. There's obviously a little bit of a gap between the end of the fall semester and spring. It's not big, but it's enough time when you're going home over the holidays and you're finishing finals and you're not doing a whole lot maybe, and maybe you're just eating a bunch of turkey and over Thanksgiving and going home and eating a bunch of junk food for the Christmas holidays and New Year's, and all of a sudden you come back and you're not in shape. So, I mean, those things, they can add up to start the year, but typically we have a good idea by the end of the fall where people fit in within our program, within our team. So sometimes it's tough, because there's guys, I'm like, man, we really got 2 or 3 guys that could be a great fit at certain spots right now. But just from the ethical side of things in college tennis, most coaches are going to try to do the best they can to put their lineup in order of ability. So obviously Sandeep and Darcy have been at the top for us this past year. They've done a great job, and they've really been able to hold those positions. And then once you start getting a record going, right? So once you sort of get into your season, you've got 7-8 matches underneath your belt. You're like, if you got a guy at number 1 that's 0-8 and you got a guy at number 2 that's 8-0, some coaches are eventually going to call you out on it, and they're going to challenge your lineup. And so if they challenge your lineup, if that ends up getting overturned, you can end up losing the match. You can end up losing points.
Well, really?
Someone can challenge because I'm just sitting here thinking, I would totally stick.
Yeah, you can have your lineup challenged. So You don't see it a whole lot and you would get challenged probably every time, Sam. Maybe you could get away with it match 1, but by match 5 or 6, when they're like, man, this guy is just getting whooped, and the guy over here is just doing incredible.
That's
now
interesting. That's a rule.
Yeah, it's a rule. There's a lot of there's a lot of sort of just in tennis, ethics is pretty important, right? So, you're calling your own lines, you're doing all that stuff, right? So you don't have officials doing everything. We do have officials at our matches, but there's some of our officials are typically roving, right? So they're not always on your court. So, you try to do everything you can of playing by the rules, right?
Yeah,
so you don't want to get into every once in a while it'll get interesting for sure. And some of these kids will feel like they've gotten cheated, and every once in a while there's kids that'll try to get them back. I mean, it's part of college tennis, unfortunately. It's not a part of it that I love, but I mean, it's there's
because
a lot of
like in our regional matchup versus Florida State, we have a better shot at winning if Sandeep's playing the 2 or 3 guy, right?
You would think that he would have a better shot, but
Right.
somebody else is playing 1 is still going to probably now have a tougher shot than maybe where they were. So
sure, but then you just
for sure. But you could look at it. I mean, technically, you could say, I could put my 4, 5, and 6 guys at 1, 2, and 3, and my 1, 2, and 3 guys at 4, 5, and 6.
Because you just got to win 3 too.
You got to win 4. You got to get 4.
Oh, we got to get 4.
First to 4. It's best of 7 points. A little steeper there, right? So you got the 6 singles points, and then you got the doubles point, right? So it's best of 7, right? So you got the 6 singles and then 1 double. So you play the doubles first, and then the 6 singles immediately after that. So
Michael's just thinking I'm the biggest idiot right now.
That's cool. Michael's loving it.
I googled the rules before we hopped on, Sam.
Yeah.
College tennis is so different than obviously the pros.
Yeah, Michael was deep in Google AI before. That's why he was late. He was deep in Google AI, just making sure he had everything.
Honestly, sit on my porch.
He's done a good job. So yeah.
Did we have a bench mob MVP this year? Was anybody bringing the heat off the court?
Charlie Piegza has been just a legend off the court for us for a while. He has been
we got to get him on. We got to get him on.
He is. I mean, listen, I don't even like to say this, but if you go and look at his roster picture, I was
just about to say that.
I literally have almost made him go retake his roster.
Let's pull it up, Grant.
2 or 3 times.
I would tell him to do the same, because I glanced at this. I was like, oh, okay.
What are we looking at?
He just tries to look as goofy as possible in every photo that he takes every year. If you go back every year, he does the same thing.
Someone looks like they're shining a light in his eyes. He's getting blinded. Yeah.
That's good. That's pretty good.
If you go back to previous years, it looks the same every year too. So,
see, thank you, Joey. Historical, yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah. We definitely found ourselves sophomore year.
Yeah, exactly.
Freshman year, didn't really test the waters.
Yeah, freshman year is mom. We're gonna do it right, but sophomore year, look out, we're gonna change it up.
Yeah, I can tell you, his mom was not happy, nor was I. Me and him had a nice little chat about it. I was not happy about it, but
that's hilarious.
I guess he just got away. I was just dealing with other stuff. I guess I forgot about it, and by the time it happened, it was so far gone because maybe it had been weeks since they had done it. I don't know. But it's hilarious. I'm just like, Charlie, this is what people like when people are looking at our program to come. Like, they're gonna look at the roster and they're gonna look at you, but.
Especially when you got international kids that might not, different cultures and everything.
Yeah, at least when you go to the cards on the roster, he's on the last row because of his last name. So they have to make sure they have to scroll to the bottom of the roster to make sure to see him.
They would. I'm interested. I'm worried for his senior year here. I'm hopeful he'll maybe try to change it up a little bit. But I know him. He's gonna want to keep it going. So
I'm excited to check out the roster cards for this upcoming season.
Yeah, you should be.
Anything else you want to touch on this past season? You mentioned that we're returning everybody?
We return our top 3. We return our number 5. And then I guess towards the end of the season, we return 7, 8. And everybody, we lose one other player that was outside of the lineup. And then we bring in 2 players. Excited about the guys we're bringing in. We're bringing in a guy from the Czech Republic that's Pretty exciting. He's a 6'4" tall lefty, big serve.
Okay.
He's got a big game. We're excited about him. I'm hopeful he'll be able to do well for us here. Obviously, the tough thing, obviously, with the freshman international students is it's just there's a huge adjustment
Sure.
to college. Just everything is new to you, right? Like the culture's new. Like everything you're doing is new country, new friends, new language. So everything is new. So you're just trying to adjust and get your feet underneath the ground. But I think over time, he'll be a good player for us at some point. And then we've got a transfer coming in from Oregon, another Australian. You'll have 3 Australians on the team this year. He was a played about half the season for them, but he
Wow.
was he had a lot of talent. He's a very talented player. I think he'll do really well for us as well. He made the semifinals in juniors of the Australian Open in doubles. So
That's sick. Wow.
you're just thinking about those are the best kids in the entire world, right? And so he was able to make the semifinals of the Australian Open in doubles. So I'm hopeful. Obviously, I think he'll come in and do well for us. I still think our top 3 could probably still be the same.
That's exciting.
So it's just an exciting year, right? Because we'll have 2 seniors up in the top 3. We'll have the freshman of the year up in the top 3, and then we've got these 2 other guys that are coming in that we're hopeful will be able to make an impact. And then we've got 2 or 3 returners that Seb, who was incredible for us this year, Vittorio, who played doubles for us this year, and he's just had an incredible summer so far, and we've got a few other guys, honestly, that are really damn good too. So I'm not counting anybody out. We've got quite a few guys. I mean, they can all play, and we're extremely deep. So that's the one thing that we've been fortunate with. If we have an injury, if we had somebody that had to have an appendix taken out now, I would feel a little bit better. So we've just got a lot of depth. Again, this year we've got half of our team is seniors, so we just have so much experience. So I really think this year could be even better than last.
That's awesome.
So I'm excited about that. So
I mean,
and
I wanted to ask this as we get into your kind of your career and you personally, but I'll go ahead and ask this. Now, when you first took the job at Samford, obviously you had a plan, a strategy, whatnot. But it really does seem like in a very traditional college program sense that you were able to start, like implement a system, build some momentum, and then at this point it seems like you have a young squad who just won the championship. You're on the rise. You got young talent, good talent coming in. It's like you have like something's rolling, Like,
yeah.
What was your plan when you got here?
Well, I can tell you the way I've always thought about recruiting. Listen, I don't care what sport you coach. If you can't recruit, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you've got to be able to have players that can come in and be at a certain level. So, if you can't do that, I don't care how good of a builder you are for development. It's not going to eventually matter if, in the long term. So I've always been a big believer in recruiting. The way I look at recruiting, some coaches look at it differently in college tennis. Some will say, I'm going after the absolute best kids in the country. That's all I'm doing. I'm going after the best. If I don't get them, I don't get them. I'm a big believer in say, all right, listen, this is where we are right now. Like, let's try to figure out, if we're trying to get to a 10 right now, we're at a 5 and we need to get to a 10 to win the conference championship. How do we go from 5 to 7? All right. And so let's focus on that. Let's focus on building this team with players that we feel can come in at a good level. We feel like they've got the ability to improve, develop a little bit as their time goes on, as they get into their junior, senior years. We feel like they've got the ability to play in the top 3 or 4 for us. The next year, you'll see that level rise a little bit, right? So there's rankings and stuff people can look at. If you're a tennis person, you can go to these websites and you can see all these rankings for all these people. So each year, I sort of try to up that recruiting number just a little bit and see if we can now hit that mark, right? And so then we hit those marks, right? And so now you've got people who have traditionally looked at your team maybe from a ranking standpoint where your ranking has always been here, right? Like even your individual players, not the team, just the individuals, like their individual rankings as tennis players. And so now they're seeing these rankings that are higher and higher and higher. And it's not because we tried to take players that were here and then all of a sudden recruit that player once they graduate to have them come in at here, right? So that's how I've always done it at any school I've ever been at. We've always seemed to find success doing it. And the one thing that at least for me, is I just feel like we can create stability with that. So I just feel like if I'm going out and I'm trying to recruit players that are better than every player we have on our team right now, the odds of me getting those players that I need, it's not realistic. So you go out and you try to find players that say, all right, let's go out and try to find the ones that are maybe as good as the guys that are playing 4 and 5 for us right now, and they're still in high school. And those guys will probably look at it like maybe this could be a really good fit for them. But then by the time they leave, maybe they're better than the guy we currently have at 1. So That's just always been how I've looked at it, how I've approached it. I'm just a big believer in getting out on the road, recruiting, touching base with tons of kids, lots of communication. I feel like if you do those things well, I think coaching becomes a lot more simple. You have to do less coaching, maybe, and you can focus on, trying to build programs and build schedules and put these guys in good opportunities to compete against the best. So that's just been something I've always that's how I've always looked at it every school I've ever been at. And it
makes
seemed
a lot
to
of
allow
sense.
it. Yeah. So I'm just not a believer. Some coaches are, if you got a great name and a big name, and I mean, I guess if, let's say I got fired tomorrow, Martin was like, hey, Oliver, you're done, and Roger Federer came into here. Yeah. You know what? I'm sure Roger Federer could go out and recruit whoever he wanted because he's Roger Federer.
Right.
You'd have some nice suits on, that's for sure too.
That's right. That's right. So I mean, there's obviously there are a few big names in college tennis that have a great reputation. That people are like, all right, that guy's calling me. Like I need to really look at this school.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the rest of us, we have to go out there and put the time in and work and do everything we can to find good fits for our program.
Yeah, and
well,
to
I
that
love
point,
that it's still possible. Oh, go ahead, Grant.
I was to that point, you're in one of the most unique positions on campus just because of the certain backgrounds, like your whole team. You've got all the good mix of international, domestic guys. What's that first team meeting like when you get everybody together and try to find a way to kind of get a team together when you've got a guy from Czech Republic, a guy from Mexico, and a guy from Great Britain trying to find a way to come together as a team?
It's funny because we have a lot of internationals, but I would say actually a lot of our internationals, at least the last few years, they're pretty Americanized. The kids from England and the kids from Australia, they adjust pretty easily. The ones from the non-English speaking countries, I feel, takes them a little bit longer, just because obviously there's a little bit of a language barrier, right? Our kid from Mexico actually went to IMG for 4 years. He's actually a dual citizen. So while it says he's from Mexico, I mean, his family lives in Mexico, but he was born in the States, and he lived in, he went to high school in the States as well. Okay. So for him, but if you asked him, I mean, it's Mexico all the way. We've been fortunate. I mean, some years are easier than others, right? I mean, as far as at least the way I'm thinking your question's being asked, it's, we've had a lot of returners recently. We had one, I guess last year we graduated a lot. We graduated 5 last year. We graduated 3 this year. My first couple years, I think my first 2 full seasons, we only graduated like 2 people.
Wow.
So we returned a lot.
That's nice.
We still brought in, my first year, I think we graduated 2 and then 1 transferred. And then we brought in 5. So we brought in Sandeep, we brought in Darcy, we brought in Santiago, we brought in Max Giddens, who played 2 for us that year. And we brought in Martin Schwartzman and Charlie Piegza. So I guess maybe we brought in 6. I guess that
is an influx.
Yeah. So that was a big year, right? So we went from having 10 on the roster to graduating 1 and then 1 transferring out. And then we brought in 6. We went from 10 to 14, which in college tennis that's a big number.
Yeah.
It's a big number.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's sweet.
You have a spot in
yeah.
Birmingham. We've got an international kid that's not Americanized. It's like this is the Southeast. You got to go eat here. You got to go do this thing. It's barbecue burgers. If you got an international kid that's not Americanized, yeah.
I always end up taking the guys to Taco Mama for
I was just
like
okay,
recruiting
that's good.
visits and stuff. I mean, it's just easy because the whole team goes. These kids are like bottomless pits, man. They just everything goes through them. I just don't even know where it goes. Like our Australian, he's tall and like he's so tiny, but then I'm like, he'll eat like 4 burritos. I'm like, where does it all go?
Oh, that's
This
impressive.
is crazy.
That's amazing.
So people look at him when he's eating and they're like, everybody, like Darcy, you're going last. Because as much as everybody else eats, he eats twice as much as the other.
It's like a college athlete.
So.
Yeah, got to get him set up. Yeah.
Yeah, he eats. He puts a dent in my budget with his food. So I've gotten on him a few times about what he's ordered. Yeah, so he's a good
Mama.
kid. He's a great guy. We loved having him on the team, but the man can eat.
Yeah, pictures are fun in the games,
power.
but once you start hitting the budget, okay, we got to cut back a little bit. We got to fix this.
Yeah, I got on the team, man. We went to Auburn for regionals a couple years ago, and I swear I was like, all right. I told my assistant, I was like, hey, I want to be on court. Go get these guys lunch. Just make sure it's reasonable or whatever. And there was like 2 or 3 guys that ordered like, the Jimmy John subs, right? Like they're just basic, I don't know, like normal enough. You're about to go back on the court and play another match in like an hour, right?
Oh,
so
no.
you're not. Anyways, has anybody ever gotten the massive subs from Jimmy John's? Have you ever gotten one? They're gargantuan. It's like $22. It's like a $22 Jimmy John sandwich, and I had like 3 of them on my. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I lost it. And
sandwich.
I think Darcy ate the whole thing. He ate the whole thing. It was like 20 inches or something like that. I'm like, I don't understand you. It's huge. It's massive.
How's the bill coming back from Chad after you guys won the title? How was that bill?
Yeah, how do we celebrate?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I told the guys at the beginning of the year, I said, listen, if y'all win the conference tournament, I'll take y'all to any steakhouse in town.
Heck yeah.
Any steakhouse you want to go to, y'all pick it. You get whatever you want. I'm willing to. I'll spend up to $1,500. I'm like, we've been fortunate. We've been able to raise a good bit of money this year, and we had some sort of set aside in case that happened. So that was sort of the plan. I can't remember. I'm trying to figure out where we went to eat. I think we went to like Panda Express right after. That's where they all wanted to go. So went to Panda Express because we had to drive home.
Yeah.
But we ended up never getting that steak dinner. I sort of kept putting it on. I'm like, guys, we got to go tomorrow or we got to go this day. And then I think by the time everybody got home, school was already done. A lot of guys were just ready to go home.
But
a lot
got to
of them
get the boys their steak.
Yeah, I know. A bunch of those guys will still text me and they'll be, Coach, what about that steak dinner? I'm like, we're on a new budget now. So
it's a new team. Sorry. Yeah, that's a whole new team.
That money was on last year's budget. We can't add it to this year's budget. So
you always got steak out if worse comes to worse.
Yeah,
Sam would have been calling me and texting me and saying that steak dinner.
That sounds a little more familiar. Yeah, I could live with that one. Yeah,
steak. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I thought
it was a fair request. Yeah, I thought it was fair.
Of course it is. I mean, I would still be pestering.
Yeah, I'm sure you would, Sam.
Never miss a steak.
That's fair.
I am curious. We were talking about this before we started recording, but before we get to kind of your personal journey, future of or every sport other than football, basketball, baseball in the SoCon at Samford FCS.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously it's interesting out there for Olympic sports. I mean, I think it's a time where we're going 1 year at a time here and trying to see what's happening around the country. I don't know in the long term. I just try to understand how financially so many of these schools are going to be able to keep up with all this money. I don't know. There's so many different things you hear. Anybody that tells you they know exactly what's going on, they're full of it. And they just don't. Because I'll tell you what, you've got some of the best ADs and coaches in the country that are still trying to figure this out at any sport. So, for tennis, tennis has been hit hard. by the House settlement. I don't know if it's because of that or because of it gives athletic departments a reason to be able to feel like they can do something. But there's been 22 programs cut amongst NCAA schools for men and women's tennis, between Division One, Division Two, Division Three. I think there's maybe been about 7 or 8 of those have been Division One. But I mean, it's unfortunately it's happening. There's tons of schools I can tell you about all around the country that are having scholarship reductions. Everybody thinks there's more scholarships, but there's less.
Sure.
For a lot of these Olympic sports. I mean, a lot of the sports that are going to receive them with this House settlement amongst college athletics are going to probably be your footballs and your men's basketballs, and probably women's basketball too. So I'm sure they'll try to make sure that there's a little bit of that on the women's side as well. But that's I think that's how a lot of people have always sort of looked at certain sports across the country, with where your money's coming from. Obviously, you make it to the dance for March Madness, so that's where your big checks are going to come from. So Division I AA football, I don't know. Like I don't know if we go super deep into the tournament. I just don't know how much television coverage is, so I don't know how much we're receiving from that stuff. Maybe it's costing us money. Maybe we're receiving small checks. I don't know. So
It's hard to say. I don't think Samford necessarily needs any more marketing, considering they get a record class every year, but we'll chase it, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what the profit margin on each student, but if we got 4.5 scholarships per for a tennis program, and we have record enrollment each year, and now we have a 10 scholarship limit, it doesn't seem unreasonable that there's money to find 10 scholarships, right? Like, do you think there's a chance where things could get better for a school like Samford?
Well, what I can tell you is the SoCon has already sort of made a decision that they're like for men's tennis in general, like we are set at 4.5. Like they've already made that decision amongst athletic departments. They've already sat down and talked about each individual sport. I can't tell you about every other sport what their decisions were. Probably. I mean, they're every year I'm just sort of trying to figure out who they have, and because they've just got these massive scholarships that they get just to get into the school if you're an international. So it's a huge advantage, especially when your school is cheaper, and then you've got Samford who's 58 and change a year. So you're trying to figure out how to balance
price
that.
Keeps going up. Surely our profit is going up. I mean, come on.
I mean, I 58 and change. Yeah. I mean, when I went to school here, my freshman year, I think it was high 20s, low 30s, my freshman year, 2007, 07, 08. So yeah, it's pretty much about doubled since I went to school here my freshman year. They're putting a lot of money into this place. I mean, the last couple of years, we've just sort of understood that there's going to be some growing pains, but I mean, it's pretty cool what they've done. So I mean, these new residential halls and parking garages, I mean, those have been the two biggest issues amongst campus. Just students in general, parents are, I mean, people are sending their kids to Samford. A lot of them, obviously we've got a heavy female rate here at Samford, and so
that's the selling point.
A lot of these families, I mean, they want to know that their daughter's going to be safe and they can live on campus and they can walk around. They don't want them living off campus and living in places that they're not comfortable with. I mean, that's a huge sell for Samford and what a lot of people come here, at least on that side of things, from the female side. So
for sure, if I had a daughter, that's where. Easy.
That's where you want her. That's where you want her. You want her on campus. You want her in that new resident dorm. Yeah, I mean, that's where you want her, right in the center, in the heart of campus, surrounded by all the new technology. So you know where everybody is at all times.
All right, so Coach, talk to us. You were the youngest, or allegedly youngest, head tennis coach in NCAA history. We don't know if that's true, but it sounds pretty true. When you were at Citadel. So talk to us. How did that even happen, and what was that like?
I don't know if that's true or not. The AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, they put that article out.
It's a good source.
Good source. I mean, they're the big paper over there in Atlanta. I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, as a 24-year-old, I mean, a couple months into my 24 years of age at that time it was exciting. I mean, I felt like I was being thrown into the into the whatever you call it there. I mean, I was just into the crowd. I was just dumped in there, right? I had to fend my way out.
Good luck,
out of school at Citadel too.
It was different, right? Because, my coach, he went from Samford to the Citadel I had one semester left after I finished my eligibility. Finished that semester. During that final semester, he offered me to come be the assistant there. Went to go be the assistant. Um, and after a year of me being there, he left and took another job. And so at the time, and it was about a week, 2 weeks before the season was supposed to start. So obviously
Just crazy.
they're just timing wise, right? It just wasn't enough timing to go on a full search, right? So they were like, listen, we have trust in this young kid to run our program and military style and all this stuff and keep hold these kids accountable. Um, I mean, because the tough part, right, is because some of those guys were, like I knew them from, I mean, like, they were only a couple of years in age different than me. A lot of our team that year, we actually had a good year for what the Citadel has done in tennis. But yeah, I mean, there were some highs and there were some lows. At certain moments, there was some disrespect and there was some having to sit kids down and talk to them, and it felt weird sometimes, right? Because I'm only 2-3 years older than
Yeah.
some of these kids, but a lot of
Yeah.
those kids. They're military style. I mean, they're surrounded by that all day. So a lot of them had a huge amount of respect. But there was a couple of young guys on that team that really just they struggled with direction for me because they had a great relationship with our previous coach. The season went well, didn't work out to get the job at the Citadel. So now the head coach Chuck Creasy, he was a Hall of Fame coach at this Clemson for forever, for ages. He's got books written about him. I mean, he is one of the, if you in college tennis, if you tell somebody you don't know who Chuck Creasy is, people are going to turn their head and be like, well, you don't know anything about college tennis. So, I mean, he's just, when he left Clemson, he went to go be the Davis Cup captain for Thailand. I mean, he was an incredible coach. He's very hard-minded. He's still very hard-minded. He's an older, maybe 65, 68, something like that. I don't know, he could be older than that, but he's been around for a long time, been doing it, probably older than that. But anyways, he actually fired me. So
That's kind of cool though.
The only
got
thing
fired by a legend.
Yeah, I mean, I got fired by a legend. But the only thing I asked when I all said and done, they're like, "Listen, we really we want you to stay." And I said, and they asked, "Do you want to stay?" And I was like, "I do. I'm okay with somebody else coming in. I understand I'm extremely young. I would love to learn underneath somebody that I feel like, if I would just love to learn underneath somebody that I feel like I could gain some experience from." Anyway, so he got hired in early July and he didn't move down. He was up in Maryland, living with his family up there at the time. They moved down at the end of August, day one. I'd only spoken to him once. He had said everything was fine, really, originally. And then day one, he just showed up. He said, "Hey, you're out. I don't want anybody else that's had anything to do with this program in the past." And I was like, I didn't really have an issue with him letting me go. It was more so I was just a little disappointed at that time, right? In the summertime, that's when there's a lot of changes in college tennis and a lot of sports, right? So I didn't have an opportunity to get into anything else. So at that time, before I went to the College of Charleston, I worked junior development for about 6 months. Then I was in sales for about a year.
There you go.
So I did logistics. I moved trucks around the country, right? So I mean, it was a different experience. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot in that life too. I also learned that I probably didn't want to stay in that industry. It was.
Where were you doing that? Out of curiosity.
Where was I doing it? I was doing it in Charleston, at a little company called Gear Logistics.
Just curious.
I probably could tell you some stories about how they treat people off camera, but I'm gonna I'll
it's a wild
leave it at that. It's a wild industry. I mean, I was answering phone calls at like 2-3 in the morning, with people that I really honestly sometimes couldn't understand, and I was trying to tell them where to go, and they'd be like, my truck broke down and I got 20 pallets of tomatoes in the back and they've got to stay at a certain temperature. I'm like, I'm going to do everything I can here, but I don't know how I'm going to help your refrigerator at 2 a.m. right now. So on the truck. So it was a different experience for sure. And then and then after that, I got a call from the coach, the women's coach at the College of Charleston. he asked me to come if I would be willing to come be their assistant. And then from there, I mean, that was a great time for me. I learned a lot from Angelo, who was the women's coach, and Jay, who was the men's coach. They're totally different personality wise. Angelo is, more type A, very strict. Jay, the men's coach, was a little bit more loosey goosey, just a really great guy, great life coach. Just good person all around. So I learned a lot between both those two people in the coaching world and in life in my 3 years at the College of Charleston. And then, just one of the things in the college coaching world in tennis, the assistants really just don't make a ton of money. So you sort of have to move around a little bit. And then really from there, I went and took a D3 job. I was like, I need to leave Charleston. I need to go be a head coach. It doesn't matter where it is. I don't care if it's a Division I, Division II, Division III. I just need to go do it. I need to learn. I need to get out of Charleston. I need to be on my own. I've been here for too long now. I just need to go. So I
Why
went and
did you
did that.
want to be a coach? Like, I mean, obviously you're the youngest head coach at Citadel. You have I'm assuming a bad taste when they say you can stay and then they fire you after the coaching cycle.
Sure,
hiring
yeah,
cycle.
I wasn't super thrilled, yeah.
You leave coaching.
Yeah.
Obviously, probably landing in logistics had some kind of impact of like, well, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But I mean, why did you want to get back in? Because I mean, you're right. I imagine that most assistant coaches don't make anything.
Well, what I can tell you is I knew Jay, the men's coach at the College of Charleston, and I knew Angelo to a degree. There were some ties. I was recruited by the College of Charleston before I ended up coming to Samford. We really came down to College of Charleston and Samford in my choices to go to college. Jay was the assistant then. I knew him. I just knew he was a quality person. I knew he was somebody I could trust. And it was sort of the same thing with Angelo. And I was just at that point in time, I was just ready to get out of logistics. I would have done anything almost. So you could have offered me peanuts and I would have said, I'm there.
See ya, deuces. Yeah, I'm out of
Did
here.
it feel like a fresh start? Like you're in the same city.
It really did. I mean, it was like there was a huge weight off my shoulders at that moment in time because I finally was back doing something again that I felt like I had a passion for. And I had a different passion because originally I was fresh out of college. I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do. I was just trying to learn as I went. No, I don't know if I don't know if I necessarily Kemper was my coach in college and he was an incredible person for me to sort of he was an incredibly smart man, but he really sort of led that program with how he approached, like he did all the recruiting, he did all the stuff. So I didn't get as much hands-on at the Citadel from that side of things. So when I get to Charleston, they were like threw me in the deep end, right? They were like, here you go. You go do all the recruiting for the women, you do all the recruiting for the men, you do everything. So, I was on the road a lot. I was doing a lot. I mean, it was at some points I had to be like after like month 3 because if the women had a day off, then the men were typically practicing. If the men were practicing, if the men had a day off, then the women were practicing. So I was like, at some point, I was like, guys, is it all right if I just have like one day off? Like, I just need like one day. I've been going like 3 months in straight here, and like I'd love to have one afternoon just to go see friends and do something different on a Sunday or something like that. But I mean, for me, that was a huge reason why I was comfortable going back to Charleston, and that really sort of gave me a lot of belief that something I had a passion for, and then really from there, I knew I needed to leave if I was gonna at some point rise in the ranks a little bit and get to a place where I was happy and excited to be at. From there, I went to Division III and took a job at a school called Washington College. They got a pretty rich history in tennis. They won 2 national championships in Division III back in the late 90s. When I got there, the program was sort of in shambles a little bit. There was good players there, but the culture was not great. I mean, there was
How
guys
do you
that
fix
would
a culture without just like scrapping the team?
You do everything you can to help teach them, and then you bring in new players. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the easiest way to put it. You know, obviously you want to help everybody sort of adjust, but some people will adjust and some will not. So there's really no other way to put it. Some are willing to have a mindset of like, all right, this guy might actually be able to help us instead of maybe what we've been used to. And so that was sort of what year one looked like. And I did men and women. I did both teams. And so that was to be in the head for both teams. Division III, I learned more at Division III than I've learned anywhere. Because you got to do everything. You don't have
No
all
help.
these extra things. You do everything. I'm doing 2 teams. You know, if I get the kids excited to want to come to the university, then I got to figure out if I can get them into school. Then if I can get them into school, then I got to figure out if they can afford it financially. So, I mean, it's like a 2-3 like commitment process with each kid. Some kids will commit and they'll be like,
Dang.
man, I want to be here. But then they get the numbers back from financials and, you know, you're not offering athletic aid, right? So
Right.
now you're like, well, coach, I can't come. It's too expensive. Can you help get it down? I'm like, well, I can go to admissions and see if you can make an appeal. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not in charge of how much money you get.
Right.
So for me, I learned so much because I'd be recruiting for college tennis. I mean, this is a lot of kids. I'd be recruiting like 50, 60 kids on the men's side and the same thing on the women's side at the same time. So trying to think about just knowing who all those people are.
Yeah.
And
That's
texting those
crazy.
people. So it
Families,
just
parents,
for me,
all of it.
For me, it was the ultimate. Just everything else after that just feels easy. You know, it really does. Like, and I say that in the way like I respect the hell out of coaches who come from places where they haven't had everything. You come from Alabama, you probably had everything.
Yeah.
You probably have. You probably haven't had everything hand and foot. Like I'm out here blowing the courts every day or doing other things. Like Alabama, the coaches aren't out there blowing the courts. They're not picking up the trash. They're not doing all that stuff.
Right.
So these are things that you just sort of learn to do as you work through the system a little bit. And obviously you got to have a little bit of just understanding that you're okay doing certain things. But yeah, I mean, that's where I feel like coaches that come from, obviously you always love a big name, right? Especially for basketball or football, right? But for other sports, you got to respect the hell out of guys that went to a smaller school and did something big and then were able to do something pretty cool somewhere else. I mean, that's really where I feel like those are the grinders in college athletics. Those are the coaches that are absolutely grinding their tails off and they're finding ways to win with not a whole lot given to them.
For sure.
So
That's
the
why
ones that,
if
yeah,
VMI basketball ever does something again, like that's an insane accomplishment.
it would be pretty cool, right? Like, I mean, it would. I mean, I don't want to see that because we always
I
want
don't
to see
either.
Samford do well, but you know,
safe.
you'd love to if it's not Samford, you'd love to see a cool story.
Yeah,
You know,
sure.
so you know, that's obviously always I just something I think it's cool. I think obviously our new softball coach, she came from Birmingham Southern, and she obviously I think she had a great year, and I think there's a lot to be said probably from what she dealt with at Birmingham Southern with the school closing down and dealing with everything that they had going on, and then being able to be here and be excited about her program and do well. And I don't even really know her that well. We've only spoken briefly, but I just think I think, when you see those sort of environments, and that's the one thing I think Martin Newton has always done a really good job of is he doesn't just look for the press release, like he hired Bucky McMillan and look what happened to him,
Right.
like, I mean, these are the things that, sometimes you just got to look away from where they're at and what the school is. And you got to try to figure out the person and what they've had and go from there. And I think that tells you a lot more about what they're going to be able to accomplish once they actually have a few tools around them to do things. So, that's just my view on certain things. Martin's done a phenomenal job with, I think, recruiting coaches and, because I mean, listen, I was coming from a D3 school. Obviously I played at Samford, right? So there was probably a lot of other coaches that were assistants at big Power 4, Power 5 schools that you probably could have looked at. But you look at the person and you look at, their care for a program, and you look at what you think they're going to be able to do, and you look at their success that they've had, and you go from there, right? So it's not always about, you know, coming from the biggest school, and that doesn't really mean a whole lot, because I could hire Kirby Smart could hire, the guy flipping burgers down the road at McDonald's to be an assistant coach, and nobody could ever know that. He might know the kid might not know a thing about football, and then he's going to get a good job somewhere else just because he's under Kirby Smart. So he didn't know a thing, right? So like it's just, that's sort of the way I look at it. I'm like, sometimes some hires just don't make sense to me, because even if they're coming from big schools. So but
I mean, you're
that's
spot on. Like,
Yeah.
we really are lucky to have an AD like Martin, because you think, like, when we had the basketball search, we
Yeah.
came on here, and there's so many directions you can go. So many. I mean, as you just mentioned, you can pick a high profile assistant, you can be a stepping stone school, you can be a retirement school, you can be like whatever. But I didn't even put together that you and Coach Curry both came from D3, and I mean, what she's doing in the softball world is wild, because I mean,
Yeah.
Samford tennis has seen success before. I don't think Samford softball has ever seen success.
I couldn't tell
And
you.
so she has
I don't
these
know.
girls rolling.
Yeah, and you're both came back to coach at your alma maters too. Like, both of you had that same kind of thing. Obviously, both played here. Like, when this job opened up, did you ever think that you could come back and kind of coach at the school you played at?
I mean, that was always, obviously you always think about a few schools that like you would be excited to be at. I mean, this is obviously always one of those schools. It's like, man, that would just be such a cool opportunity to go play at or coach at your alma mater where you played. It just, there's an extra meaning, right? Like, I mean, I've got a lot of the alumni that, like, if we have a crap year, they're going to be breathing down my neck. Like, what the heck are you doing over there, dude? So, I mean, I've got to deal with all the text messages I'm receiving. There's some wild guys out there. So, I mean, they have some high expectations. Some are obviously pretty cool. Just, they want to make sure the guys have good experiences, and they all do. They want to make sure that's a huge part of it. But they also, it's fun being able to follow your team, especially when they're having success, right? So,
For sure.
if the football team and your basketball team are having a great years, you're going to see more people in the stands. That's just normal anywhere, right? So, it's.
I mean, look at y'all this year.
Yeah.
I think you probably got more eyeballs in general. I feel like I'm a good bellwether of your average Samford fan of like,
Yeah.
all right, if I'm paying attention to tennis, we're doing good stuff,
I appreciate that, Sam. I mean, it's, I do appreciate you guys having, being willing to talk about the tennis program, and, hopefully some people have a little bit more understanding about sort of what we've got going on here, what we're dealing with, just the scape of college athletics in general. I'm a college tennis is just so different than what you're watching on TV. Now there's some of those guys some of the guys that you'll see in college tennis this year that'll be playing in the pros on the big stage at Wimbledon and all the majors next year. But it's not like you see at Wimbledon where everyone's wearing white and everybody's quiet and everyone's, shushing each other next to them. It's intense, right? It's a good energy. Like, it's fun to be out there. Like, people that come out for the first time, they're like, man, that was actually pretty fun, So people get into it. So as we talked about a little before, I mean, it can be pretty fun and exciting, especially depending on who you're playing. So.
Yeah, on the pro level, are there any guys you love watching more than others, or some guys you kind of like point your guys to say, hey, this is somebody you need to watch, and kind of follow his game a little bit?
We've talked about some of that stuff with our players over time. Like, well, maybe it's more so like, hey, did you guys see the final of that tournament over in Germany this past weekend? Like, did you see how Mensick was, approaching mentally? Like, we talk a lot about the mental game, right? Because the mental, it's tough, right? Because you're out there by yourself. You don't have teammates that can come out there and support you. You're out there on your own. One of the toughest thing in tennis is if you're having to fight two opponents, right? So if you're having to fight your opponent and yourself, I mean, it's just brutal, right? So you have to be able to learn how to handle your emotions when things aren't going well. And so we talk a lot about that stuff because we know how important it is. It's vital. I mean, it's really 1 point can change the course of a match for a player. Mentally, it can also change the course of a match with the way college tennis is, because college tennis, it's not like you watch in the pros where it's add deuce, add deuce. Like once you get to deuce, it's you play that point, and that whoever wins that point wins that
Oh,
game.
wow.
So it's no ad, right? So
Yeah.
they added that about maybe 7-8 years ago. So college tennis could
That's
hopefully
fun.
be a little bit
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah.
So I mean, it definitely can add a little bit more excitement, right? For sure. As opposed to having a game, one particular game that could last 20 minutes.
Yes.
Right.
So obviously, if you're standing there watching, like, all right, well, this is good tennis, but like let's move on to the next game here. So I want to see the later courses of this match and see how the intensity is. So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So for the middle game, you're not showing any Nick Kyrgios highlights. You're not messing around with any of that. So
Yeah, I don't particularly. Well, there's a professor I had here in the business school when I was at Samford, and I always loved his approach, because once a week he would always show us an episode of The Office, all right?
all
And
right.
so basically his way of helping to teach us was like, I'm going to show you everything not to do. I'm going to show you
That's a good
absolutely
barometer,
everything
yeah.
not to do, right? So, and then we would talk about the things that we should be doing and the
Yeah.
things that we needed to focus on, right? It was like a management class, and it was, I don't know, I thought it was
Yeah.
kind of cool the way he
Who
approached
is
it.
the
Obviously, it
professor?
was,
Don't promise a group of third graders money.
yeah, I'm not going to tell you the professor because he's still here. He
Oh,
was the
sick.
man too. He's the man. But you would know him. But he,
That's cool.
yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Yeah, I mean, he was good. But anyways, back to Nick Kyrgios. Yeah, I'm not talking a whole lot about Nick Kyrgios and what he does well, because if I'm telling any of our players that he's doing something well, and then I'm giving them, the green light to
Free reign.
act
Yeah,
like
fine.
him, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to end up getting myself in trouble. So I'm going
Yeah.
to be, so we focus more on the steady line here, not the curvy line, not the
Yeah,
one
there you
that's
go.
up and
Yeah.
down, right? We like consistency. I don't need highs and lows all over the place.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah.
That does make you appreciate watching the pros and how quiet they can be in a match with thousands of people watching, whereas college kids are just kind of chirping at each other, right? You just can't do that in the pros. How do you?
Well, yeah,
how do they
you're
keep it
definitely
in? You know?
you're definitely not chirping in the pros, right? But I mean, in college tennis, I'm not going to say that the guys are chirping as much. I mean,
I gotcha.
they
It's
definitely
just
get
the
loud. They're
right.
definitely like there's a lot of come-ons, and like if you watch Ben Shelton and you watch
Yeah.
his energy on court and you watch his fist pumps and you watch all that stuff, that's what you're seeing from your guys in college tennis. You're seeing fist pumps, you're seeing a lot of come-ons, you're seeing
Yeah.
vamo, you're seeing all that stuff, right? But you're not seeing them talk crap across the net like, hey man, that
I
shot
gotcha.
sucked. Like
Yeah.
they're not, like you. How did you screw
That'd
that
be
one?
sick,
Like they're
though.
not.
Could you imagine?
That would be cool, though.
They're not saying stuff like that. Like, wow, like
I
actually,
gotcha,
how
yeah.
did you miss that?
Well, because they
So,
want the other guy to call their ball in when it's close. I mean, there is an incentive to be
Being respectful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you said at
there
the
is an
beginning, the
incentive,
decorum of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the ethics is huge in college tennis, right? So if you don't have good ethics, then it probably falls on the coach too, right? So you like for me as a coach, I mean, I don't want to go play programs where I know I'm going to deal with all that, like players that are making bad calls all the time. I don't want to go play those teams. I want to go play because we don't have a referee on every court, right? So, so I'm going to go play coaches that I know are going to they're teaching their players respect and proper ethics. And I'm not saying that, bad calls don't happen still, but I know I'm not going to have to deal with that a lot more against certain schools than other schools. So
right, limit the extracurricular as much as possible. Just keep it within the lines, obviously.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So,
well, last question. I got a Wimbledon pick for us. Is our boy Taylor Fritz going to do it?
Men's or women? Oh man, wouldn't it be great to see an American? We've been in such a slump.
I guess we have a chance on the women's side too.
Yeah, we got a chance on both sides.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story on the women's side, because she was a damn good player. And I think when she was 17 or 18, she took a couple years off for the mental game.
Wow.
And took a couple years off just because she needed to work on her mental health. And now she's coming back, and then she beat Sabalenka today, and #1 player in the world. I mean, she's going to be in the. I mean, that's pretty darn cool to sort of see what she's been able to accomplish. The one thing that's been steady with tennis and for the U.S. has been the women's tennis. So we've had a lot of players that have been on the women's side that have done well. So the men's side, the weird thing is, I'll just say this about junior tennis in the U.S. is, you look at other countries. You go look at Spain, you go look at England, you go look at Australia, you go look at these countries in Europe. Tennis is like a top 3 sport in like probably almost all these countries.
Yeah.
Where do you think tennis lies in the U.S.? I'll tell you one thing right now. It's not top 3.
Yeah, 4th.
It's not top 3. I don't know if it's 4 or 5. I would love it to be 4th or 5th. It's
6, 7. Yeah,
it's probably 6 through 8 somewhere. I mean, you got football, you got baseball, you got basketball, you got
and it's
soccer.
so geographic.
Yes, it is too, right? And like obviously, there's
like Atlanta has a tennis culture, but Birmingham probably doesn't. Or
Alabama
Charlotte,
in general, Alabama in general does not have the state of Alabama has never produced a ton of great tennis players on a yearly basis. Where the state of Georgia, they're going to have multiple guys coming out every year that are quality players.
Right.
So,
yeah, I saw a clip of John Isner kind of talking about that same thing. He was asked where like an American kind of mix in. He was talking about that too, and how overseas it's like this is the sport you're going to do, and in America obviously there's so many other options to choose from. You got to find your way to kind of fit in that.
There are. I mean,
it's expensive too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it's not cheap because it's not like you just got to buy a soccer ball and just go find a rec park to with a goal, right? Like I mean, you've got these rackets and you got to have new balls all the time, and because they they depressurize and. Then you've got to pay for court space at a lot of places. Lessons are not cheap. And then, obviously rackets are expensive. And then, once you get to a certain level, you start breaking strings and then you're having to restring your rackets all the time. So we have guys that on our team that they break strings every single day. So they're restringing their rackets every day. Yeah, wow. I mean, it's like, guys, I'm just like, I'm going to have to limit you. Like, I mean, this is ridiculous. Like, I mean, obviously, I cover all their string and all their shoes and all that stuff. But I mean, everybody burns through at least 5 pairs of shoes a year between September through April.
5 pairs?
They'll burn through at least 5 where their toes will be. I tell them they cannot have a new pair until their shoe or until their toe is basically, I can see it, or I can at least see their sock.
Yeah. Gosh.
Once I can see your sock, then you can have new shoes. Don't come to me with like saying you think you're ready for new shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's the way of the world,
Yeah.
So, they need to learn a little toughness. They can't just have stuff whenever they want it. So, we make them earn it. So, go do a few more footwork drills, and then you can have a new pair.
Go hit a massage chair if you need
later. Yeah, that's right. Listen, we've got all the TheraBody stuff. We've got all the stuff that you're going to need for recovery. Just massage chair, the bootlegs, the guns that all these guys use on their legs and arms and all that stuff these days. Yeah. I mean, we've got all that provided here at the tennis center. We put a ton of money into trying to ramp that up for our team this year. Obviously, we've got our trainer and stuff, but, we've got to go from the tennis center to the trainer. Sometimes when we finish practice, our trainers are already done, right? So we're a non-contact sport. So it's not like they're at practice with us every single day. So they're around, but they're not here. They're there before practice. They're typically there during some of practice. Then if we randomly have something, we'll call them. So, but yeah. So TheraBody, massage chair. That's it. I might head in there for a minute at the end of this.
Yeah, you might have to. All Sam's questions. You got to relax after the. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would do the same.
Yeah, this was awesome. Yeah, thanks for.
It's been fascinating to learn. Yeah,
for sure.
And I think college tennis needs more media.
Yeah, I mean, I think college tennis. I mean, obviously, I think it's just totally different from when people. I mean, I've mentioned this a couple times. It's so different than what you watch on TV. It's like it's fun. It's exciting. I mean, I mean, you can go to MTSU, and at their matches at MTSU, they've got like kegs and they're selling beers. I mean, there's places where it's wild. Obviously, we're never going to be doing that here at Samford, but
It's the life of a Blue Raider.
Hey, never say
it's
never, Coach. Never say
yeah.
never.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
I've
There's always hope.
since I've been here, it's been a dry campus for a long time, so I don't see that changing anytime soon. So. But anyway, I mean, there's stuff like that going on in college tennis. So I mean, it's not like it's empty around here. Now, obviously, we're not we don't typically, depending on the matches, we don't always have tons of people here, but the people that are here are into it. So they make it fun. So that's always exciting. So we're thankful too. We've got a great facility here, great setup, great viewing for people that come out and watch. We've got a great overhanging view up above. I think you guys said you all had been there at some point. Those garage doors open up and overlook the outdoor facility, and then obviously you've got that great area to overlook the indoor facility as well. So we've added a lot this year. We're excited about the team, excited about the program, really excited about the guys coming in. I really believe this year we're better than we were this past year. That's exciting. So I've got high hopes.
Exciting.
I've got high hopes. Now the big thing, obviously, in college, we have to stay healthy. So that's always the big thing, because when you lose a guy, you lose a guy completely, and everyone else has got to move up. So that makes it tougher for everybody else. So if we can stay healthy throughout the entire year, I'm excited for what they'll be able to do. I feel like we're at the top of the Southern Conference. I don't think there's anybody that's better than us. There's a few teams that are definitely right there with us. ETSU being one of those teams. They've been there every year. So that's always been an important match for us. So we know that one's tough. There's a few other teams at Mercer. They've got a quality team. They've got a few really good guys. Chattanooga's there always seem to be pretty quality, pretty good depth. We've had a lot of success against them, but they've had a lot of success against a lot of other teams. Sometimes we haven't. So they're well coached too. So a lot of quality teams in the SoCon. It's a good conference. It always has been. I've loved the SoCon. I'm sure you guys loved it too when y'all were here. It's a good league. I hope the SoCon stays healthy and these teams stay in here. And I'd love to at some point see another quality school like Samford or Wofford or Furman or Chattanooga or somebody like that would join. I think it would make it interesting. So I mean, at least for me on the tennis side of things. So always want to stay at the top. But always fun when you've got good competition to compete against. You never want it to be easy. So not saying it is. It's definitely not. But for each,
I don't know. Winning's kind of nice.
Winning is nice.
It's more rewarding.
But sometimes it's a little more rewarding. Sometimes you don't want to get too complacent. So
we
have a good conference. We do.
Yeah, we got a good conference. And the one thing that's great is you see all these conferences now, they're spread all over the place, right? So, I mean, they've got,
yeah.
I mean, a
the
lot of
UAC
these,
conference is insane.
It is. And you see a lot of these, a lot of these like tennis programs, they don't even have a regular conference schedule anymore. They don't even play a regular season. They just go straight to the conference tournament. They just play a national schedule. They don't even play a conference.
Man.
So, I mean, they just vote on who's seeded 1 and who's 2, and like it's just crazy. Like that's what I don't like about a lot of this conference realignment, right? Like, I mean, Washington coming out to play. I mean, who is it? Is Stanford in the ACC now, or who is that?
Yeah,
Stanford going out to play Miami. I mean, what in the world?
It's absurd.
You remember them talking about on ESPN, like the truck that had to like travel across country to like
it was
bring all the football equipment or whatever.
Yeah, the Miami equipment truck had to make that trek all the way to Cal for that game, like that Saturday night game. Yeah.
Poor guy.
He had to leave like Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Like they were like tracking it like the whole way.
Yeah, that's right. The college game did like pictures. Yeah, it was literally we gotta leave Monday because we gotta get to Berkeley by Thursday to set everything up. It's like, oh my gosh.
I would have. I don't know where they stopped, but I wish they would have stopped and made like some cool national parks and did some funny things along the way. That would have been pretty cool. But I mean, that's gonna be going on for a while. I think you're gonna see more. Some of these trucks being, they're gonna highlight them as they're trying to get to their destination. So I don't know what happens if their truck blows up. So hopefully the trucks, they stay. But well, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for the
thanks.
time.
you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
coverage of our program. And, again, enjoyed it. Thanks.
This
No,
has
we're
been great.
excited.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Coach.